Imagine an empty plain. The horizon shimmers with heat. Silence. And suddenly, far away, a dark band appears. At first you think it's mist. Then you hear a rumble, as if someone is shaking the earth. It's not a storm. It's nomad cavalry. Hunnic hordes. Hundreds and thousands of riders. Short, wiry men on small but hardy horses. They move like a pack. Arrows, shouts, whistling. They charge, wheel around, vanish, then appear again from the flank. And opposite them, 10,000 Roman legionaries. A wall of shields, mail armor, throwing spears. A slow, heavy step. This is not a mob. It's a machine. Every soldier covers his neighbor. Everyone knows his place. And the question for which you opened this video: what happens when these two worlds collide? 10,000 Romans used to discipline and fighting in formation against hordes of horsemen for whom war means raids, trickery, shooting on the move, and constant motion. Who beats whom? You might think, of course, the Huns. They shattered the late empire. The Romans trembled at their very name, or the opposite. The Roman legion is the best infantry of the ancient world. They ground up everyone. But if you start breaking down who is armed with what, who fights how, at what distance, and in what conditions, the picture becomes much more interesting. At some point you'll realize it all depends on a single detail that people usually forget in these what-if scenarios. Don't switch off. Step by step, we'll look at what weapons kill in the hands of legionaries and Huns, the strengths and weaknesses of each side, what happens when a shield wall comes under a rain of arrows, and under what conditions 10,000 Romans can withstand those whom the late Romans almost called a punishment from heaven. And at the end, I'll offer two honest outcome scenarios. You'll decide which one you find more convincing. First, let's agree which Romans and which Huns are meeting on our imaginary field. We won't take the early legionaries of the Punic Wars, and not the very last ones either, when the army had changed beyond recognition. Let's imagine a typical late imperial legion, but still with strong infantry. The soldiers still have large shields, armor, pila, swords. 10,000 men is roughly the strength of a reinforced legion with losses factored in. But let's assume it's a full, battle-ready force. Now the Huns. They are not one army of 1,000,000 men, as legends love to say. They're coalitions of tribes. A Hunnic army is first and foremost mounted archers. Almost every warrior is a rider. Many also have spears, sabers, lassos, but their main weapon is the composite bow. Short, powerful, convenient for shooting from horseback. It's important to understand, these are not savage barbarians with sticks. They're the elite of steppe warfare. They know how to shoot at full gallop, wheel around, feign retreat, and then suddenly strike. So, the conditions. Open ground, no fortresses or forests. Daytime, good weather. The Romans know a nomad cavalry force is coming toward them. They've had time to form up. They have no city walls, but they do have time to take position, and, if they wish, dig some temporary field obstacles. On the other side, the Huns, who see dense infantry ahead. They're certain they won't hack at it head-on like Greeks or Germanic warriors would, but will do what they do best: harass it with arrows, wear it down, probe for weak spots. Now let's move closer to each fighter. Let's see what they have in their hands, on their bodies, and how they imagine the battle. First, the Roman legionary. He wears mail or scale armor, an iron or steel helmet with cheek guards, a large shield, often oval in the late period but still big, a heavy throwing spear, a pilum or its later version, a short sword, a gladius or the longer spatha, depending on the exact time, sometimes a dagger. The shield is the heart of his defense. It covers almost his whole body. In formation, the shields overlap, forming a solid line. Arrows and light javelins coming from the front often thud into this wood, leather, and metal. The pilum is a tool for breaking formations. Against infantry, it's ideal. If it hits a shield, that shield becomes heavy or unusable. If it hits flesh, the heavy head tears a nasty wound. The sword is for close combat. The Roman is not a lone hero dueling one-on-one. His strength is the shield wall. He strikes short, from behind the shield, into the belly, into the legs, wherever there is no armor. The legionary is used to fighting toe-to-toe. He values order, the line, commands, signals. He can deploy in several ranks, rotate the front line with fresh men from behind. It's a living but disciplined grinder. Strengths of the Roman. He's well protected against melee weapons. His shield is excellent protection from frontal arrow fire. His formation is sturdy and hard to break in a frontal assault. He's used to standing firm, enduring, holding a position. Weaknesses. He can do little against an enemy who refuses to close in. Prolonged arrow fire from a distance wears him down. Even if the arrows don't penetrate, arms tire, nerves fray, the formation degrades. He's poorly adapted to long chases in heavy gear across open ground. He needs a certain formation density to be effective. Once that's broken, mounted warriors can deal with scattered legionaries quickly. Now look at a Hunnic warrior. Imagine a short, lean man on horseback. He almost merges with the animal. He has lived in the saddle since childhood. His body is used to days of riding. He might wear light leather armor, perhaps reinforced with plates, sometimes mail or scale, but thinner than the Romans. A simple helmet or cap, sometimes with metal inserts, a saber or curved sword, a spear or javelin, and above all, a composite bow. Short but viciously strong. The Steppe composite bow is the automatic rifle of its time. Compact, it can be drawn and loosed from the saddle. It's made from wood, horn, and sinew. It shoots far and hits hard. The Hun can shoot forward, sideways, backward, twisting round in the saddle. He can pretend to flee and shoot backwards at pursuers. Strengths of the Hun. He is constantly in motion. His bow is a terrifying weapon at medium ranges. He won't engage in a head-on slog with heavy infantry unless cornered. He can harass and distress the enemy for hours, giving no rest. His horse gives him speed, maneuverability, and an escape route if things go wrong. Weaknesses. In close quarters, in hand-to-hand fighting against heavy infantry, he is far less dangerous. He doesn't have a comparable shield wall or body protection to the legionary. If pinned against terrain, deprived of maneuver, and forced to fight on foot, he loses his main advantage, speed. His army is often less disciplined as a single block. Each rider acts more independently, but the overall wall is weaker. So we have two opposites. The Roman is shield, sword, and order. The Hun is bow, horse, and chaos. Now imagine the moment of contact. The Romans form a long line, perhaps several ranks deep. They drive stakes into the ground in front of them, dig shallow ditches or pits to make breakthroughs by cavalry harder. It's already half a field camp without walls. The legionaries angle their shields to cover themselves and their neighbors. Officers walk the line, encouraging them, checking the intervals. On the horizon, the Huns appear. They don't just charge en masse right away. First come the far-ranging scouts. Then the main forces join them. They spread in a wide fan, wrapping around the Roman front and flanks. And now the Romans feel the first thing the Huns bring: arrows. This isn't a single volley, nor they shot a bit and ran into melee. The Huns can circle for hours, riding close, loosing arrows, peeling away, and returning. Roman shields start to bristle with arrows. Often they don't pierce wood and metal, but not every man is perfectly covered. Some hold their shields lower, some have shifted, some can't resist peeking out. Arrows hit faces, necks, legs, arms. The first wounded go down. Someone falls, and his neighbor suddenly has to cover two gaps instead of one. The line still holds, but tension rises. The Romans answer with what they have. If they have their own slingers and archers, they try to fire back, but their bows are usually simpler, and the sling demands great skill. More importantly, they stand still while the Huns are moving. Hitting moving targets is harder. Sometimes if the Huns approach too close, the Romans can hurl pila. But the pilum is a heavy spear. You can't throw it as far as an arrow flies. And hitting a fast-moving rider is difficult. If the enemy doesn't come close enough, the pila just thud into the ground. Minutes pass, then tens of minutes, an hour. The legion stands like a rock, but every arrow, even one that doesn't pierce, is a blow to the nerves. Noise, shouts, horses, dust. Arms heavy from shield and armor. Thirst, fear. Now everything depends on who first changes tactics. The Romans have several options. First, stand to the end. Hold formation. Don't rush forward. Endure arrows until the Huns tire or try to come closer. Then they can use their pila and swords. Advantages of this: you deny the Huns a chance to tear your formation apart. You protect your main asset, the solid infantry wall. You force the enemy either to keep spending arrows or to risk closing in. Disadvantages: if the Huns are well supplied and prepared, they can turn the legion into a hedgehog. Many wounded, many weakened. The flanks are under constant pressure, and shields are not as dense there. The psychological strain is huge. Standing and enduring missile fire is always harder than attacking. Second option, try to attack. The commander may order part of the center or one flank to advance in a wedge to disperse the cavalry, disrupt the shooting, and force closer combat. Advantages. Sometimes a sudden, determined advance breaks the rhythm of the archers, forcing them to turn and flee, losing cohesion. If the Romans manage to push a part of the Huns against an obstacle, a river, a hill, a ditch, a slaughter can begin there, in which infantry is superior. Disadvantages. If the detachment that pushes forward becomes separated from the main line, it can be surrounded. While advancing, the legionaries lose formation density, becoming more vulnerable to arrows and flank strikes. The Huns are adept at retreating while shooting and luring pursuing infantry into traps. Third option, a combination. The commander might hold the center rigidly while sending out detachments on the flanks to try to drive the Huns back and push them away, with reserves behind those detachments ready to cover them from encirclement. This already looks like a complex chess game. Whoever makes the first serious miscalculation starts to fall apart. Now the key question, how does the weaponry actually perform in such a battle? Hunnic arrows versus Roman shields. From the front, against a dense shield line, arrows sometimes penetrate, but more often stick. The most dangerous are shots from oblique angles, from above, from the sides, hitting unprotected spots. Any gap is a chance for an arrow. Hunnic bows are stronger than those of many neighboring peoples. At close range, they can pierce armor, especially if the armor is not first-rate. Late Roman soldiers are not always clad in perfect, thick mail. Armor is often lighter. Pila and spears versus cavalry. If riders do decide to come closer and switch to spears or sabers, the Romans can meet them with a wall of pila. A heavy spear thrown into a horse or rider can bring both crashing down. Infantry standing tightly, with pila and spears braced forward, is not an ideal target for a frontal cavalry charge. A horse is a living creature. It doesn't eagerly plunge into a solid wall of spearheads, swords, and sabers. If it comes to real close quarters, Roman sword and shield versus a Hunnic saber and a smaller shield, or none at all. In this situation, the legionary has the advantage. His shield covers most of his body. His sword is good for short thrusts and cuts in cramped conditions. The Hun either has to dismount or fight from horseback at a highly unfavorable distance. But the Huns will do everything to avoid things going that far. Their strength is not where swords cross. Their strength is at range, in constant movement, in wearing the enemy down. Now let's look at the broader picture of strengths and weaknesses. Roman infantry. Pros: discipline. The order stand means stand. Coordinated training and a clear command structure. Ability to build field fortifications, ditches, palisades, camps. Excellent in defense and against frontal assaults. Cons: low mobility. In heavy armor with a big shield, you can't chase horse archers. Dependence on formation. Once that breaks, each soldier is vulnerable, weak long-range reach. Without strong cavalry and numerous missile troops, the battlefield belongs to the enemy. Hunnic cavalry. Pros: speed. They choose when and from where to attack. Long reach through the bow. They decide at what distance to fight. Psychological pressure, constant shouts, maneuvers, arrows. Flexibility. Small units act freely. There's no rigid dependence on a single line. Cons: dependence on open space. In cramped terrain, near hills, rivers, forests, their advantages shrink. Weakness in prolonged hand-to-hand combat with heavy infantry. Limited arrow supply. If the battle drags on and they can't replenish, bow effectiveness drops. Weaker at holding a rigid defensive line. That's not what they're built for. Now imagine several phases of real combat. First hour. The Huns circle around the Roman formation, shooting from various distances. The Romans stand, shielded. There are casualties, but the line holds. Officers move along, making sure no one breaks ranks. Second hour. Fatigue grows. Shields get heavier with arrows. Arms go numb. Water runs out. Some wounded are pulled back, their places filled by others. The Huns occasionally feint a charge, as if to smash into the center, but at the last moment veer off, loose arrows, and ride away. The Romans don't know when the real charge will come, and must stay constantly keyed up. Third phase. If the Roman commander realizes that merely standing equals slow death under arrows, he may order a counterattack. Let's say one flank pushes forward like a wedge. The Huns appear to retreat, drawing the Romans away from the main line. If the legionaries get carried away and run forward, the formation tears. The Huns swing round their sides, shooting from all directions. Those in the Roman center see their comrades cut off. Panic flares up. Shouts, "The flank is broken!" Some men take a step back, some turn their heads. That's enough for ripples and gaps to start along the line. What happens next depends on the steel of the officers and men's nerves. If they can steady themselves and reform, the battle continues. If not, the nomads turn the detached units into shredded clusters of fugitives. Now let's be honest, can 10,000 legionaries defeat Hunnic hordes? Answer, yes, but not in every situation. If the conditions are completely open plain, the Romans have just arrived and haven't had time to fortify. They have no cavalry support and almost no missile troops. The Huns outnumber them 2 or 3 to 1, then the legion's chances of survival are very low. They will be showered with arrows, worn down, their formation disrupted, and then those who break will be cut down. But if the conditions are different, the Romans know in advance where the Huns are coming. They build a field camp, ditches, obstacles. They position themselves near a hill, river, or ravine to cover their flanks. Part of their force consists of their own cavalry, or at least numerous slingers and archers. Then the situation changes sharply. The Huns now find it much harder to envelop them and can't move freely on all sides. Some of their maneuver advantages vanish. If they approach the fortified line to shoot more accurately, they risk counterfire and pilum volleys. If they dare to charge with spears, they meet a wall of shields and points. A straight frontal cavalry charge into such a fence often ends badly for horses and riders. If the fight drags on, arrows run low, horses tire. But the legionaries can still hold, rotating ranks, relying on their armor and formation. And here is the key takeaway. On a bare plain, unprepared, in the worst possible conditions for them, 10,000 legionaries against mobile Hunnic hordes is almost a death sentence for the Romans. Standard close-order infantry fares badly under a constant arrow storm when it cannot catch the enemy and force close combat. But if you let the Romans do what they do best, fortify, choose good ground, secure their flanks, and at least partly make up for their lack of mobility, then the battle stops being the Huns will butcher them all and becomes a tough, honest fight. Where the Hun cannot turn and ride away, where he is forced into collision with a thick wall of shields and swords, his bow ceases to be a wonder weapon. So the right answer to who wins sounds like this: the one who imposes his terms of battle. If the battlefield is the Huns' world, open space, maneuver, distance, their horse archers will grind down even the best infantry. If the battlefield is the legion's world, fortified positions, favorable terrain, confined space, Roman infantry can turn even fearsome steppe hordes into a pile of bodies at their ditches and stakes. Quick summary: the Huns are stronger in range and maneuver. Their bow and horse are their trump cards. The Romans are stronger in close combat and in defense. Their shield and formation are their armor. 10,000 legionaries can hold out and even defeat Hunnic hordes if they manage to. Fortify, pin the enemy against awkward terrain, force him into the zone of swords and shields. If they're caught on open ground, unprepared, and without cavalry or missile support, they're most likely facing a long, painful death under arrows and flank attacks. Write in the comments whose side you're on after this breakdown, the Roman shield wall or the storm of Hunnic cavalry, and whether you'd like to see a sequel, for example, 10,000 Spartans versus the Huns, or a Roman legion versus Mongol cavalry in the same level of detail.